Hello, welcome back. In our last episode, we talked about recording a song from scratch. Today, we're going to pick up where we left off with a new song and talk about the mixing and mastering process. I'm going to demonstrate this process with an older song of mine that I was never really happy with the finished product for. There's an old joke. What's the difference between a rock guitarist and a jazz guitarist? A rock guitarist will play 4 chords for 100 people. A jazz guitarist will play 100 chords for 4. That's where this is going. I thought back to my undergrad days and remembered jazz band was the place to be. Even when I taught guitar and piano at a brick and mortar school, the teachers all wanted to play jazz when we had our teachers' jams. Don't get me wrong, I love jazz. I have all 3 of the fake books. I'm just out of practice. So this song was originally written to recreate that jam session jazz standard feel without actually having to follow the standard because I wrote it. So we start by exporting the old song off the old computer. This took some doing. Now, while this is for the purposes of demonstration, what I'm going to show you today is the same method you'd use for mixing and mastering a multi-track recording. Let's dive in. The first step is the most important. Nothing else will work if this is skipped. You have to make sure all of your tracks have the same volume. Ideally, you'd have done this while recording them, but that assumes you were the one who recorded this yourself and you had the foresight to level all of your mics. This is often not the case. Most DAWs have a normalize button, and this matches the loudest parts of your track to whatever number you input in the beginning. Once all of your tracks are the same volume, you want to use your faders to get them to all match output. A few things to remember. Certain frequencies are louder than others. So everything could visibly look the same on the waveform, but you'll see that the individual channel volumes are all different. There are a few ways to level. You could get all of the numbers to match. I personally use colors. I listen to the whole song several times and get the output colors to hit orange. For this particular song, I added my track effects as I leveled because the effects will change the output, so you'll have to re-level them. I'm basically adding and tweaking at the same time. This step is technically optional, but if we're remixing and remastering anyway, why not make all the changes we'd wish we'd made a year ago? So we went crazy with reverbs and panning. We also simulated mics on every track. A little clipping is a good thing. It makes things sound real. Also, it was here I remembered that when I originally recorded this song, it had horn samples that I ultimately got rid of because they didn't fit and I didn't want to worry about licensing. Right now, I'm working on a new EP with horn parts, so this was the perfect opportunity to record new horn parts, so we did. And then we removed the wrong notes because I'm not a horn player, and we leveled the whole song again. Logic has a mastering assistant that you could use to master your song when it's all done, but I use it differently. I actually turn it on before I mix because it lets me demo what the finished product will sound like. For jazz, our bass is present but not pronounced. The snare is basically non-existent except for hits, and the hi-hat keeps time with the kick just on the one. The chord changes are all level above the bass but below the melody. But the hits with the snare and horns match the melody in terms of volume to give it some flourish. Now that all the tracks are finalized and leveled, you'll want to start your mixing. When we normalized, we brought the input volume up to match. For mixing, we do the opposite. You're going to want to bring your headphone or speaker volume as low as you can while still being able to hear everything. Different frequencies behave differently at high volume. High frequencies don't carry as well at high volumes, and low frequencies are more pronounced at lower volumes. So for an accurate mix, you want the volume low enough to hear everything most accurately. While you mix, you might decide that you want to change something as the song plays. Automating is when you tell the sliders when to move on their own instead of moving them by hand while you record live. This is how it used to be done in analog settings and live performances. Logic has two ways to do this. You can add a read automation or a touch automation. I use them interchangeably. Read automations let you drop in individual points, and the fader will basically connect the dots as the song plays. Touch automation records fader movements the same way it would a MIDI track. Once your mix is done, you could call the song finished. However, there's one more optional step that has become an industry standard and sets the recording apart from just a live tape. Mastering is taking the finalized mix and polishing it. I'll do this in 2 steps. So basically, I'm mastering every song twice, and there's a reason for this. First, I'll add the bus track for all of my background instruments. Then my melody and my important accents go to the main output. I'll solo the backing track and toss a compressor, equalizer, and a stereo spreader on it to make sure it pops the way I want it to without the lead parts. Then I'll turn the regular output back on, and it will get a second compressor, a more subtle stereo spreader, and an exciter. At the very end of the chain, I'll put a graphic equalizer just to see where I'm still clipping or ringing. This would replace the mastering assistant from before. I'll turn it off and see if everything sounds the same without it. I know there's a lot going on here. I just compressed 12 hours of editing into 11 minutes. It's definitely something that takes a degree of practice, but to recap, and if needed, you can rewind, rewatch, leave questions or comment. But first, we normalize, then we level and adjust and re-level, then we mix, if necessary we automate, and last we master. The iPad handled it all like a champ. No errors, no crashes, and no external gear necessary except for those horn parts we added. As always, may your gear be light, your latency low, and your dog quiet while you track vocals. See you next time.